your hair growth is interrupted by breakage, that's where you don't get that length. So the whole goal and point to the science is to make sure that your hair is not breaking. If your hair is not breaking, it's like grass. If you don't cut off the grass, it just keep growing. That's it.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And then I was going to talk about damage and defects to the hair. Yes. Another thing that goes on is shedding. So shedding and thinning. There's a slight.
Is it natural for shedding?
So yes, shedding is natural because what happens at the end of a cycle is the shedding.
Okay.
But then there's also premature shedding that can be caused by various things: stress, diet,
chemicals,
even sometimes dirty scalps.
Wow.
It sort of clogs up your follicles and and then your hair just sheds, and then of course postpartum, things like that. Thinning hair is hair that, like I said, the cuticles are damaged. But then again, so fixing these types of issues, that's where the science comes in.
Right.
And that's where I always say a healthy head of hair has a balance of elasticity and strength. So when your hair is elastic, acting like a rubber band, then it's able to stretch when you manipulate it and go back to its regular position. And when it's strong, when you pull on it, it doesn't break. So when you have that balance of that elasticity and strength, you have a strong strand of hair. You give it nourishment, which comes in forms of herbs and oils and things like that. You fortify it, makes it even better. And then, of course, your products and methods. So water-based products, free from occlusive agents like mineral oil, a lot of color, a lot of fragrance. You pick up a product, you want to see oils, water, herbs, vitamins, and anything else in the product should be assisting the product.
Okay.
So like a conditioner or something like an emulsifier that's mixing the oil and the water in your product together, or like an absorber. So, which is the thing with DIY. So you put in avocados and bananas and oats.
That's all these things that people mix together.
Yes, and mayonnaise in your hair. I always, which is fine. But if you're going to do that, put a bit of conditioner in there. Those guys spending loads of money doing research in the lab.
They know what they do.
They could put some mayo in a jar for you, but they don't. Those things help, but they are not the be-all. You still want something that's formulated properly, because it's in that form. You see a product sometimes, it has all the oils you want, but sometimes it's not working. You need the formula to be right. And then the methods as well, how you wash your hair, and how you dry it as well. Those are the things that contribute to that science that gives you the healthy strand of hair.
Fantastic. Please put our hands together for her. She just, very, very clear and very precise. And because of that, I'm going to just throw in, I know you're doing a demonstration, but Kemi is, I said Kemi, Koyin is coming from a place, of science, and you've also been in this for the longest time. And there has been, I wouldn't say a shift, but there's been a movement of natural hair, and she has just thrown in the thing of just mixing things together, and everybody just puts something on their hair and says it works. Her process is it pretty much it in summary, or would you like to add anything to it?
Hi everybody. So in terms of adding what she said, everything she said is definitely on point, and to sort of add a bit more. Definitely, because you have a lot of natural people, and this started off with YouTube. You had people, blending avocados and bananas and eggs and mayonnaise, and it's all well and good. Some people swear by these things, but the point, sometimes, unfortunately, there's nothing preserving these things. You have people who mix these things, there's no formulation to it. You don't know in what quantities. Sometimes they mix and then they leave it. They have stuff they are spraying in their hair every day. And sometimes when you're mixing water, oils, and all sorts of things, and you don't have proper formulation, you don't have anything that's preserving it, then you begin to mess with the pH, you begin to mess with so many things, and then you begin to have issues with your hair. So yes, sometimes you may want to, go back to nature, which is great. At the end of the day, these things do work for the hair. But also with the ones that have actually been formulated, I like to, stick to them, because and sometimes with time, how many people have time to sit down and be blending, mayonnaise, and there's a lot of, I used to do that early on in my natural hair journey when I had plenty of time on my hands, but now, I'll just go with something. I read the ingredients, I know what works for my hair, things I should avoid, and then, we go on and we pick it, and that's fine. Hope that answers the question.
It does. And I want to speak for some people here. How can you tell your type of hair. If it's if your hair is coarse or it's fine, or what you shouldn't be doing to your hair. Do you have to have an understanding of how your hair is, how it works as a person, or do you need to consult either of you or a professional?
You've had your hair your whole life, so so a lot of it's guidance on both sides. You talk to your stylist. You tell the person, this is what I know of my hair. And then I say to you, this is what I know of hair. So when we it's about doing it together with you to figure it out. So there's no one thing. There's no one cap
One size fits all. Yeah.
It's peculiar to the person. And then again as well, everybody's needs and wants and lifestyle is different. So how often can you really wash your hair? How often can you really steam your hair? So based on that, you figure out a regimen, you figure out the products. Yes.
I would throw the floor open so that we have a few questions before Kemi goes on with her demonstration, because she's going to be giving us the quick natural hairstyling. So if you're a naturalista hating right now, you can learn how to quickly style your hair with Kemi. This is really, it would have cost you plenty money, but the Beauty Souk has brought it here for free.
Hello. How can one grow one's hair? I've had this for 5 years and it's just like that.
It's not going beyond this.
Yes.
Who wants to take that? Her hair is natural.
Okay, so I will say this. First of all, hair is always growing. Your hair is always growing. So barring any major medical condition, your hair is growing. If you're not seeing length, then what you're struggling with is length retention. So what it is, our hair grows on average about half an inch every month. So in 12 months, you should have 6 inches of hair, barring maybe you've trimmed it or whatever. So let's even say 5 inches of hair every year. But if your hair is breaking off at the ends at the same rate at which it's growing from the scalp, then it's like nothing is happening. So what you really need to do is get a regimen and you become consistent with it. Because that's what a lot of people struggle with, consistency. Get a regimen that works for you in terms of, the time you do certain things, the products that work for your type of porosity, your texture and all of that, and then be consistent with it, making sure you protect your ends, protective style, so that you're not always combing and touching and pulling and dragging. So once you have that, a good regimen, protective styling, and you're just being very gentle with your hair, you'll begin to see a difference.
Hello, everyone. Okay, please, what I need to know, and we're all talking about our hair here, but I'm interested in children's hair, babies. At times you have a newborn and the child seems to have a lot of hair. And then before you know anything, the child's hair is going off after like about 9 months, 1 year. So I'm interested because I want my daughter's hair to grow. Thank you.
If you're going to use any products for her, use baby products. I hope you use baby products for her. If her hair is falling out, I don't think it's anything to stress. I'm sure you've heard that many times. If your baby's hair is falling out, I don't think it's anything to worry about. So we have different types of hair. We have terminal. You have different types of hair. You have different hair here, vellus hairs, which is like these ones, baby hairs here. Yes, you have like lanugo hair, which is like the hair here, right? And for children, your follicles are still sort of forming. The size and the size of your shape of your follicle determines the size and shape of your hair. So, for example, if you have very wide follicles, you have very thick hair. The smaller your follicle, the thinner your hair is. With babies and with children, they first of all start off not with terminal hairs. They start off with vellus hairs, and all the vellus hair needs to sort of fall out and come out to its, and then terminal hairs begin to grow. I think you really should begin to worry. If you're doing all the things you should be doing, your baby is eating right, nutrients are on point, everything is good. If you give it some time, don't overflog the scalp or clog the scalp or anything of the sort. Just give it time. Terminal hairs will grow out. I think maybe at about 2 years old, then you can begin to worry about, So of course, what I then find happens is that because of what's going on with your baby's hair, people tend to do different styles to sort of cover it up, and you end up worsening the problem. It's better to just leave her hair alone, and it will grow out. If it doesn't grow out after maybe about 2 years, you can come to us, and then and then we'll sort it out for you. But I don't think you should worry.
Mommy, don't worry. Okay, awesome. So I think we should move on. But before because Kemi is just going to show us a quick natural hairstyling, I would want Koyin to wrap up with us in terms of the science of hair, maybe some tips, maybe some tricks that you could share for our wonderful, and shout outs to everyone who just walked in from the exhibition. Thank you for joining us. Just give us some few tips and tricks that they could go on with before Kemi does her presentation.
A few things. I don't know if we've heard about washing your hair in sections. When you bind your hair together and you wash it, there's less room for tangles. And I know it seems like a lot of work, but it makes a world of difference. Yes, what can I use as an example? When your hair is bound together, it doesn't move. So there's no room for one strand entering another strand, and then you have to begin to detangle in that manner. So if you do everything in sections, first of all, and then you do your washing bound, you should definitely experience less tangles. You should be able to retain more length, by doing that. Also, washing your hair as well. When you put the shampoo on, I say to leave it for about a minute. Let the suds actually help with reducing the product buildup before you begin to massage it in. It helps as well. One of the biggest things, moisture. You want water-based hair products. Water is the ultimate source of moisture. Water is what actually makes your hair elastic. Not that your hair is damp with water, but that it's soaked in there in your strands to make it stretch. And then of course sealing it with oils. Oils are very important. Herbs are very important. They help with nourishment, and we use a lot of that at Tresses. Tresses is our salon, and we use a lot of oils and herbs and water-based products to get the results that you're looking for. Yes, so moisture, strengthen your hair.
How often should you wash your hair?
It depends.
And then someone said to me that it's good to use conditioners alone and not shampoo.
So it depends. Like we said, there's no one cap fits. How often are you washing your hair? If you wash your hair once a month, you can't use a conditioner. At that point, your hair is dirty. A conditioner will not clean your hair like it should. But if you're washing your hair every week, then you can wash your hair with a cleansing conditioner, because a regular conditioner doesn't have anything that's cleaning your hair in it. So a co-wash or a cleansing conditioner. So if you're washing it very often, yes, a conditioner. If you're not, use it just a shampoo, I would say.
Please let's put our hands together once again for Koyin Vera Crux for taking our time to speak to us about the science of healthy hair. And are you here? Your stand is here. So they are at the exhibition. You have one? There's going to be free treatment samples going on there, so you can go there with all your hair problems, and it's even sorted. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what I'm going to do today, I have two models just to show people different hair textures, because everybody always asks, what's my hair texture, what's the difference, why is it important, and all of that. So my first model here, she has longer hair, and her texture is quite curly and is very soft. So with hair like this, you don't want to do too much to it, because of the texture and the softness. Whatever you do, it'll just start to frizz, and it'll start to, it won't stay, it won't keep for too long. So whatever you want to be as minimalist as possible, but something that will keep the ends tucked in. As just to add to what we were saying earlier with Koyin Sola, one of the things you want to do is protective styling. Now, this part of your hair is the oldest part of the hair, because this is the part that first grew out of your scalp. So this is the part that has seen the most brushing, the most combing, the most touching, the most pulling. So you want to make sure that if you want to retain your length, you want to make sure that this part of your hair, as often as possible, is completely tucked away, so that it's not brushing against, your collar, it's not brushing against chairs when you're sitting down and all of that. So that's the real essence of protective styling. So regardless of your texture, you always want to make sure that your hair is in a protective style so that you're able to retain your length. Now for this, my model here, I'd already started to style her hair inside, so I just took out the back, and I'll just do something really quick, because sometimes it's not all the time that you have to, you can get to the salon. You want to get up and you're like, what do I need to do? Now her hair is longer, which is why I have two different people, because some people don't have this length, some people have a shorter length, so that you can see that regardless of your length, you can do different things. Now, when it comes to natural styling, one of the really nice, classy things you can do is something called a roll tuck and a pin, which is what I have on top here, and I'll just redo that. For her back, yes, I'll turn her in. Let me just try and use my hand. So what I'm going to do for her is just what is called a French roll, and something anybody can do really, if you can get to the back of your head. So with longer lengths like this, you can do really quick, very easy stuff. What I'm just going to do is brush her hair on this side, and can we see? I'm just going to take my long bobby pins. I'm just going to pin this all the way down. And this is something really easy that you can do yourself. Some people are more creative than others, but with practice, everything, you can always be perfect with practice. So what I'm doing is just making sure one side is going to be nice and flat, as we can see here. And before you do any style, you need to make sure that your hair is, nicely moisturized. I'd already put some stuff in her hair inside, so I don't want to put any more, so it's not too greasy. So you see this face is nice and flat. Now what you want to do on this side, you just keep brushing, because you want your hair to be nice and smooth. You don't want it to be looking untied. Even though you're the one doing it yourself, we should still represent somewhat. So now you have this here. All I'm going to do is just fold that in. Can we see that? So I'm going to take my pins. So I'm just going to take pins and whatever is comfortable for you in terms of your hands. Sorry, I'm just trying to see that. Okay. Let me do this so that people can see on that end. So I'm just taking my pins. You see what I'm doing? I'm doing that so that it actually keys in, and you don't have anything that's going to start coming out. So this is just a basic, what they call a French roll. So you just want to make sure that the ends are nicely tucked in. And that should be it. So once you're done, you just want to go and see. Just brushing that for better smoothness. Very easy, you see? That took me all of 2 minutes. And we're there. Thank you. So just one more pin, just to make sure it's all nice and secure. So this is it. Let me just spin around so you can see. So this is my second model, and her hair, if you see, is much coarser, is thicker in terms of density, and the strands are slightly thicker than my very first model. So with her hair would, when you do things like the last row that I did, it would typically last longer. for this client because of the density, the thickness of her strands.
It's really full.
Plenty hair. She's got a lot of hair. So I'm just taking out the pin she had from her already really pretty style she had earlier. Okay, now one thing that you could do when it comes to styling, because so her, for instance, it would be nice to pull the sides in just to give, just to sort of elongate her face a little, which is sort of what she had before. What you could do is take the sides as she had, brush the sides together. Thank you. And then I'm going to hold this together. And I'll just use your band. Please never use a rubber band. My bands, I ran here and I forgot my bands in there. This is what was on her hair, so I'll just put it right back. So I'm just holding this together to give this smooth size. I won't make that too tight. And then with the back, you can do so many different things. Just like the roll, tuck, and pin that I had just showed you. Or, because not everybody's proficient with the roll, tuck, and the pin, what you could do is do chunky twists and then you pin that in. Because with the chunky twist, you then get, we all know how to do twists, yes? So just do a few chunky twists, make them loose. To get the beauty of the style, you don't want to make the twist tight at all. You want to make them a little loose, because that is what is going to form the style. And really, you could do this yourself. Just put your hands in the back and just do chunky twists. So when you're working, you always want to put something in your hair just that will aid your styling. A bit of moisturizer, a bit of oil or butter to make the hair soft, shiny. And it will also help your style to last a little longer. So we'll just do, I don't want to do too many twists. I'm just going to do about, this is 1, 2, 3, so about 5. 5 should do it. Because this is supposed to be quick styling. You don't want to spend so much time doing too much. You don't want to spend so much time doing, her hair is very thick, yes. Which is a great thing. Some people run away from thick hair. I don't know why, but it's funny. I get some people say, oh, my hair is too thick. I wish it wasn't as thick. And some people say, how do I get my hair thicker? The grass is always green on the other side. It's amazing. But her hair is nice and thick. So you see that as I'm working, I'm just trying to smooth and just detangle with my fingers as much as possible so that you get a nice finish. Now that you have all your twists, what you then can do is just go to pinning. Thank you. So just fold the twists in, really. And this is where, if you remember, I said your twist should be loose. Because if your twists are too tight, then you don't get this beauty of this foldy kind of, it looks more intricate than it actually is. Thank you. So just pin, just try and sort of turn it in on itself. Thank you. And voila. There you have it. Thank you very much. So that's that for the back. Now you already have this bit that is probably sticking out. So you have a few things that you could do to hide it, because of course you don't want this sticking out. So you can just braid that down. You tuck it in. And then you can then use the hair from the front, some of it, to hide that so that nobody knows what you have done there. So you could just do a simple, just fold it over really. See how I've done that? Raise your head a little for me. See? So you just hide that. so nobody knows. And that's the beauty of hairstyling. It's all art and creativity. People will look at your hand, they're just wondering, how did you do that? What's going on, you know? How is that looking like that? Did she fold it? Did she braid it? What did she do? Okay. And now we come to the front. Anybody here know how to flat twist? Flat twist? No. Okay, so don't let me do that. So I'll just repeat in front what I have done in the back, which is the chunky twist, so that we can just have sort of like a flow, what is going on in the back and in the front. So I'm going to do 3 chunky twists.
And you can do this yourself?
Yes, you can. And as long as you can twist your hair, you can pack the sides and you can put a pin in your hair. That's all I have done. I've just done chunky twists that I have pinned in, and then this sides I put into a nice tight ponytail, and that's it. And I promise you, the more you practice, you know, from time to time, the easier it will be for you. It won't be as difficult as it seems. Because there are days when you have to go somewhere, you haven't had the chance to go to the hairdressers, you don't want to wear a wig, you just want to look nice with your own hair. So you're just like, okay, what do I do? And then you can just sit in front of the mirror, quickly take a few pins, and all I've used right now, a brush and bobby pins. I haven't combed it, I haven't done anything major to the hair really. It's just the bobby pins and my brush. Okay, time to pin. Small ones, please. So same thing, you just want to fold now, because at this point you're looking in the mirror, so you can actually see what the final look is going to be like. And as with anything, if you don't like the final outcome, you can always change it. It doesn't have to look, it doesn't have to be the first look. If you do the first time and you don't like it, take out the pins and then fold the twist in a different way, and then you get a different look. And that's the beauty of twist. Sometimes, all you do is pin it in a different direction. Another thing you could do, just pull it out a little, just to fluff it out and make it look a little fuller.
There we have it.
There you have it. So that's it. And if you see, because that's the reason I had her come, because her hair isn't as long as our first model. So some people say, oh, my hair is not very long, I don't think I can do anything. But you can see, you can actually do, as long as you're able to get your hair into twist or just fold it a little, there's really nothing that you can't do to style your hair.
All right, a round of applause once again for Kemi Lewis. Thank you so much for demonstrating how to, quickly style your hair in a few minutes. Thank you so much for everyone who's been here to listen to our masterclass, for our second masterclass. We're going to jump right in because of time to our third masterclass, and it's going to be on skincare. Can I hear somebody say skincare? Yes, you need to glow.